This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Ho 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 ho. Merry Christmas, dudes. The holiday spirit is in the air and I'm a happy guy. Now today I will be welcoming Linda Goranson, a very prolific and very talented Canadian character actress. Um, she was in The Gate, where she played Terry's mother who comes back from the dead. And she was also in a TV TV Christmas movie up in Canada with Henry Winkler starring back in 1979 called An American Christmas Carol, celebrating its 45th anniversary. She was in The Rowdyman with Gordon Pinsent. She did her first movie was with Oliver Reed called The Trap. And it's going to be a great talk today because she got to do all this great eclectic stuff in her career. And she started out as a go-go dancer in the rock and roll world in London while she was studying acting, which I found out in a previous interview. And oh boy, I am going to ask about that for sure, and I can't wait. It's going to be a great interview. It's been 2.5 years in the making to get her on here. This is the last interview before Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I hope you are all having a wonderful Christmas out there, with friends and family. I can't tell you how friggin' lucky I am to be celebrating yet another Christmas this year. 10 years ago, I had no hope, no ambition, no sobriety, and the fact that I get to celebrate Christmas again this year and celebrate 10 years starting next month, since my car crash, it's a real blessing, and I am humbled by it. Also, rest in peace, Art Evans, the great character actor. I loved him in Fright Night, Ruthless People. He played a homeless Santa Claus on Family Matters in a holiday episode, I remember. He was great at comedy and drama. Sadly, I never got to meet him at a con or interview him, and he did do conventions. Also, this Wednesday, December 25th, Christmas Day, I'll be dropping Ask Tommy number 9, where I will be answering frequently asked questions from both fans and listeners. It's going to be a to-ho-ho-ho-ho curler, so keep an eye out. So yeah, here is my interview with Linda Goranson. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
I was 5, and I remember I was playing tag with some little boy. We were living in Vancouver at that time. I was playing tag with some little boy,
Mm-hmm.
and I caught him, and I was sitting on him, and I somehow, we talked about what we were going to be doing later that day, and he said he was going to an acting class. And this sounds totally corny, but I actually felt there was a shimmer in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a shimmer in the air, and it had sort of a bit of a golden glow. This is totally weird, and that was it for me. That's when I started.
Wow, yeah, that's not corny at all. That means that, it's your destiny talking.
Yeah, so I did a play that year. I was in the Pied Piper of Hamelin, and I had one line. I remember it was a rat, here comes a rat, which I said exactly like that,
Yeah.
and it was very exciting.
So from there, you did school plays and community theater and all that?
Oh, I did school plays. I did. Yeah, there was a fantastic. I took acting classes. I did school plays. I had a radio. I got a radio show when I was about 9 or 10.
Wow.
I had to give reviews on books, and every week it would be either the Hardy Boys or a Nancy Drew mystery, and I'd review a book. So yeah, I did that, and I started doing. I think I did a little bit of television starting when I was maybe 12 or 13.
Yeah, I've talked to a few Canadians who started doing radio at like 15 or something. I don't know what it is about, starting radio that young.
No, neither do I.
Yeah. So you're born and raised in Toronto?
No, I was born in Toronto, but we moved every 2 to 3 years between Vancouver, Toronto, and London, England.
Nice. So yeah, so you attended acting school in London, right?
Yes, I went to Lambda, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. I'd wanted to go to that school since I was about 13. I had an acting teacher at high school I was in Vancouver that had been there, and that was the one I wanted to go to. It was great.
Yeah. Did you have any classmates that we would know?
Yes, well, I was in the like full course. It was like a 3 year course, but they had an American 1 year course where Americans would come over and just do the 1 year. And John Lithgow was in that group, so we
Wow.
became very good friends. He's doing pretty well, John Lithgow.
Of course.
Um, I'm trying to think who else. He was sort of the one who's become the most famous, I guess.
Yeah. Did you do any theater there that stands out that you're proud of?
Uh, I didn't do any theater there. I did some film and TV. I was on Coronation Street for a while, for 6 weeks. That was very exciting. And I did a documentary somehow about safety. And I had lion cubs that I had to play with, and they took hold of my neck,
Hmm.
and I ended up in hospital. And because it was a safety film. How I ended up with tiger cubs scratching my neck, I have no idea.
And while you're there, you're go-go dancing.
I was go-go dancing in, boy, you know a lot. I was go-go dancing in Vancouver before I went to England. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And yeah, so you were, what was it, with like a rock band or something?
Yeah, there was a rock band, and yeah, and they had two dancers, me and my friend also named Linda, and she was in a cage on the other side, and we were in a cage with like white boots with tassels and all that. But the amazing thing about that was, when I went to England, when I just had turned 18, and I went to England to go to drama school, and I was asked by the one of the guys in the band if he could. He had a guitar that was for left-handed, and Jimi Hendrix, whose uh, mother, I think, grew up in Vancouver. So there's a band in Vancouver. Anyway, Jimi Hendrix was in England, and he wanted this guitar. So I
Hmm.
ended up taking this guitar all the way over with me, and I had enough money. I had to take the Greyhound bus from Vancouver to Montreal,
Hmm.
and then flew to England with this bloody guitar. And I thought, oh, this is such a nuisance. But anyway, I found out that they were playing that he was playing at Wembley Stadium. So a friend of mine went to look who was there that night. They were unbelievable. They were all there. So I went to the backstage of Wembley Stadium. I thought I'd just drop it at the stage door and leave, but the stage managers at the door said, "No, Jimmy's waiting to see you." So I thought, "Oh my God, okay." And I had bought tickets for standing room to see Laurence Olivier that night. So anyway, I arrived in this room, and they were all there. I mean, I remember Brian Jones. So this was years ago. So the Stones were there. There
Yeah.
were all kinds of famous people there. And Jimi Hendrix, I can't do his accent anymore. But anyway, he said, "Oh, thank you very much. Would you like to see the show?" And I said, "I'm going to be an actress, and I have a ticket to see Laurence Olivier tonight." And there was this deathly hush in the room because it was full of like groupies and superstars.
Yeah.
So then he said, "Well, oh, okay. Would you like to come? We're having a big party afterwards." And I said, "Well, thank you very much, but I think the tube closes at midnight, and I don't know if I'd get home. So thank you
Ah,
very much, but have a good show and a good party." And I left.
wow. Oh, that is crazy. Yeah, and
It's crazy. To this day, I have no idea what the play was that I went to see that night. Crazy.
Just that experience backstage is what's memorable to you.
Memorable, and also that I said no. I mean, that's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah.
My God. And that was at the time when Canada had Chad Allen and the Guess Who starting, and the Staccatos, who eventually became the five-man acoustical band. Did you see those guys around?
All I remember was the Stones and Jimi Hendrix, and I
Hmm.
think, yeah, a friend of mine went to look to see who was at that concert at Wembley Stadium. I'm not sure if the Beatles were there.
Hmm.
I'm not sure. That was all I remember.
Wow. So, while you're in England, you make your film debut in The Trap.
No, actually, I did that in Vancouver
Oh, okay.
before I left. Yeah, before I left, I was 17. Yeah,
What
it
was?
was a British movie, but it was shot in or just outside Vancouver.
Oh, okay. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was ridiculous. I had my own driver, my own limo that would pick me up. I had a chair with my name on it. I had my own tea lady. It was a British movie being shot there, so I
Hmm.
didn't have to like walk to the craft service table to get anything. I would just sit in my chair, and my tea lady would bring me whatever I wanted. So it was that part of it was just weird and quite fun, but I could see could get trapped in that kind of expecting that kind of treatment. But it was great, and the people in it were fabulous. Oliver Reed, it was his first non-horror movie
Yeah.
because he'd done horror movies up to that point, and the big star at the time was Rita Tushingham.
Hmm.
And oh, I had a wonderful time. It was great. I love shooting.
Yeah. You were so adorable in it. You had that old timey hair and that corset dress.
You have done your research. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, and I'm a true fan as well. So
Oh, wow. Thank you.
yeah, wow. So God, that must have been just amazing to be working with Oliver Reed, who's such a legend. Was he on his best behavior? Because I know he loved to be wild and drink and all of that.
Absolutely not on his best behavior. I remember my very first scene, I had to walk into the kitchen for some reason, and he had to stop me at the door. And my very first scene on my very first day of this movie, and he put his arm out, which he was supposed to do to stop me from the kitchen, and he leaned in and whispered in my ear, "I'm going to kill you." It
God.
scared the hell out of me. No, he was a wild guy. He was lots of fun, but he was definitely a wild guy.
Yeah, everybody's got their Oliver Reed stories who worked with him.
Right, I'm sure. I'm sure.
In 1970, you sparked some, I don't know if it's controversy or just attention, when you appeared in the Manipulators episode, The Spike in the Wall. You became the first woman on Canadian TV to show what you got.
Yes, it was only ever on television once,
Really?
and yeah, and there were meetings in the house in Ottawa about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a beautiful script. It was absolutely beautiful. It was about a heroin addict and a little girl from the farm that was me
Mm-hmm.
that fell in love, and he promised that he was going to quit using. And she walked into the kitchen one day, and there he was about to shoot up, and she just took off all her clothes and stood there and basically saying, "You have your choice. Is it me or the drugs? You can pick." He decided to pick me, which was great. But yeah, it was very scandalous because the director didn't want potted plants or anything like that. So covering bits. So there I was, starkers on the television screen. But I know once I got the part and I found that out, I joined the gym. I think I spent more money on the gym just than I made on the film. But it was a beautiful story. But I think the scandal was the nudity. Yeah,
Were you at least comfortable doing the nudity, and like, how did you take the reaction?
I was just really surprised. I didn't like it was such a beautiful story. It didn't. It's sort of like the story got lost in the controversy.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that. that my father, who I hadn't seen for quite a while, he found out I was starring in this picture and he invited all the neighbors and he put a TV set on the table for them all to watch. So I think that was a bit of a shock. But yeah, I just remember just being surprised by the controversy. And it was such a beautiful show. I mean, that series was so beautiful that it never got shown again. I have a 16 mil print of it myself in a trunk downstairs, but that's it.
I love it. Is that your only nude role?
So I've had to do a couple of bed scenes, but we were all clothed. Yeah,
Right.
that I think that's the only nude thing I've ever done. Yeah.
Hmm. And you won a Canadian Film Award.
Yes, it won the I won the Canadian Film Award for that because it's such a lovely part. It was just beautiful. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So then you do the Rowdyman, and
Yes.
your husband Peter Carter cast you in it. Is that how you met him?
That's how we met. Absolutely was doing that movie.
Yeah. Was it love at first sight?
Um I was I was actually I really liked him a lot, but he
Hmm.
scared me because you know when you meet people and they see right through you,
Yeah.
and I was always joking around and making people laugh and all that stuff, but it's like he saw right through me. So I was kind of scared, and sometimes I'd go. We were shooting out in Newfoundland, and sometimes I'd go into the coffee shop in the morning for breakfast, and he'd be sitting there. So I'd go back up and order stuff to my room because I was just too nervous. But by the end of the movie, I was in love with him. Yeah, he was just a phenomenal guy. I was very lucky.
Yeah, I talked to Jeff East from Klondike Fever, and he told me he loved working with Peter.
Yes, yes. I think actors did, crew did. Anybody who worked hard and did their best,
Hmm.
they loved working with him.
What was it like working with Gordon Pinsent?
Oh, Gordy was just Gordy was just the best. Yeah, every now and then we'd be doing a scene and he'd say, "Who wrote that anyway?" And of course it was him. But he was just one absolutely wonderful to work with.
Yeah, I was shocked when he passed away a few years ago. I thought he was one of those guys that was going to be around forever, you know?
Yep, yep, yep. Me too.
Yeah, you two had great chemistry in the movie. I love it when you two are like by the lake. I thought that it was a real emotional, real moment between you two.
Yes,
It
yeah.
was wonderful. Do you remember
Oh,
do you remember anything about Will Gear?
Uh, yes, I didn't really have much to do. I don't think I had anything to do with Will, but he was there when I was shooting sometimes, and I just remember he was just a wonderful guy, and he was telling a story about in the McCarthy years, like
Yeah.
he was brought in front of the McCarthy hearings, and he would just turn things around and he'd say, when I got up this morning and it was a beautiful day and I looked at the sun, and they'd say, "Are you now or have you ever been a communist?" And he'd say, "Well, when I was looking around at the sky," like he was a real sort of a hippie in the best sense of the word,
Yeah. I talked to his daughter Ellen last year, and
right?
she's running his theater company that he left. So it's still
Oh, nice,
it's
nice,
it's still going strong. Yeah,
good.
yeah. And Doug McGrath was in the movie. He was a talented guy.
Was he in the Rowdyman?
Yeah, he was. It was
Sorry, I missed that completely.
yeah. It was a small
It,
part. He played a small part in the Rowdymen. He played Pat, was his name.
oh, yes, 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 yes. Yes, he was great. And then he did Going Down the Road that did really, really well. Yeah.
Yeah. I never saw this, but I'm intrigued. The White Oaks of Jaina. How was that experience?
Oh, Jalnet, the White Oaks of Jalnet. That was great. And I was actually shooting that. I was a regular in that. I was flying back and forth from Newfoundland from shooting the Rowdyman. So I think I flew back and forth about 5 or 6 times. It was just great. it was really a fun shoot that.
Yeah, Kate Reed. Oh, she was a very talented lady. What was she like to work with?
Oh, she was just what a lovely human being, a real character, and fabulous to work with, fabulous in the part, but a real character, and very just a lovely person. I knew that after Peter Carter died, my husband, she was one of the first people on the door, just knocking on the door and saying, "What can I do? What can I do?" She's just a lovely human being.
Oh, was she like a mentor to you?
Um, I don't know, a mentor. I certainly admired her stuff. I saw everything that she was in that I could possibly see to do.
Hmm.
But she was certainly one of the people that I absolutely loved working with and learned a lot from, just watching how she approached things.
And Blair Brown, she's a very underrated actress. She did one of John Belushi's last movies with him, Continental Divide, like later. And
Oh,
what was she like to work with?
oh, Blair. Yes, we did some. We did. Blair was great. Blair was great. I was so sorry that she moved to the States because I really loved working with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe it's been 45 years since An American Christmas Carol?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. 45 years? How is that possible?
Yeah, it probably went by fast like yesterday.
That's right. With Henry Winkler.
Yeah, tell me about working with him because he was at the height of his Fonzie power at this time on Happy Days, and this was like a rare dramatic role. Even though he had done Heroes like a few years before, this is like one of the rare dramatic roles.
It was interesting because he, I don't know if hated the wrong word, he
Hmm.
hated the Fonz.
Yeah,
Like Henry's, it was a very straight laced, shirt buttoned up type of guy, the Fonz. And I thought the Fonz was absolutely a brilliant character, especially from somebody who was so different, to make character. But
yeah.
he thought the Fonz had really limited his career a lot,
Hmm.
and so he had chosen to do um, an American Christmas Carol by Scrooge, and he had sort of thick makeup on and stuff. And they had to have all kinds of security around because people found out Henry Winkler was shooting, and there were all these fans wanting to see him as the Fonz. So I think he did that on purpose to try and break away from the Fonz.
Right. So you saw how frustrated he was for being known for that character.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, it took like 5 hours to put that makeup on and an hour to take it off. And I guess that's what they call suffering for the art, you know? Yeah, I love it when you hug and kiss him at the end, and he's like, okay, that's enough. It's like he hasn't completely changed or redeemed himself that much, you know?
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But it was funny. We stayed at the same hotel because I was living in LA when I got that part. So
Oh,
I
wow.
I flew back to that part. So we were staying in the same hotel. So Henry used to invite me and R.H. Thompson. We'd go back to his room, and he'd talk about all the work he wanted to do and how much he loved working with Canadian actors and stuff. It was really fun.
Yeah, he produced MacGyver later, and that was shot up in Canada.
I didn't know he produced that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, that show was like his brainchild. Him and John Rich, legendary TV
No.
director. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a
Oh,
brilliant show. Brilliant show.
right.
Do you remember anything about David Wayne?
I am so sorry, but I don't. But maybe because it was 45 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and maybe we didn't have any scenes together.
Hmm.
This is terrible that I can't remember. I can't. Sorry.
Do you have any younger family members who watch this movie year after year?
No, I don't. Unless it's on. I mean, I think I've got prints or 60 mil prints or VHSs of all the old stuff I've done, but I don't have any of the machinery to play VHSs or 60 mils. So no, I don't sort of shove that down their throat. But it would be fun. I haven't seen any of those for so long. It would be fun to. I should get a VHS machine and start watching all these old things.
Yeah, I know that YouTube has it because I watched it the other night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, I'll have to do that then. Thank you.
of course. You did episodes of The Littlest Hobo and the Edison Twins. Both of those shows were not on my radar when I was a kid, but I've talked to a lot of people from those shows. Were those shows fun to make?
Oh, they were great. And Littlest Hobo was interesting because they had, like, there was the star dog, Littlest Hobo, but then there were like four sort of stunt dogs. Like there
Hmm.
was the poor dog that had to go through fire and the dog that had to nearly get drowned in raging water. There was, and we weren't allowed to pat or touch the dogs. Like they were the superstars, and the their owner or their person looking after them have that. And so there'd be the star Littlest Hobo would sort of be on the top of this sort of hilly area, and then around him would be these stunt dogs, stunt Littlest Hobo guys. It was great. I had a ball. I just love shooting anyway, so everything's a pleasure.
Yeah, I talked to Peter McNeil the other day. Very nice man.
Yes.
Yeah, and Elva May, I've had her on here too. Great lady.
Oh, yes.
I've also had.
Yeah, Peter and I.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Peter and I. I'm trying to think. I can't remember if he murdered me once in a television show. I can't remember. I think it was Peter McNeil. Oh, and we shot something up in the Yukon that was really fun called Spinner Spencer. Peter was my husband in that. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, they're great. Peter's great.
I've also had Bruce Pittman on here, and
Oh,
you two have done a couple of things, including The Painted Door, which
yes.
which got an Oscar nomination. And I heard you say in a previous interview that you went to the Oscars that night.
Oh, it was so exciting. It was so exciting being at the Oscars. And by this fluke, like best live action short, you're seated like way, way at the back. But by this fluke, I ended up getting a seat right beside Sally Field.
Hmm.
She was up for what did
Places
she won it
places in
then.
the heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So she won it then. So one of her kids was sick. So I ended up getting her seat. Long story. But we were like 5 rows from the front, and everybody on stage kept looking at me, and like I was the only non-famous person around. The Bridges were in front of me, all the Jeff Bridges and Bo and all that.
Yeah.
The family. There was Stevie Wonder was just down there. Like it was. So I was the only, and people on stage kept looking at me and looking away, and I thought, oh, I must be looking pretty hot. And at the end of the night, I was telling my friend that had arranged this ticket for me, and he said, Linda, the teleprompter was right above your head. So, so I'd spent the evening thinking I must look pretty hot, and it was just the teleprompter. But oh, it was a very exciting night.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know people who have gone to the Academy Awards once and had a bad experience, but that's good that you had a good experience.
Oh, it was. I mean, it was too bad we didn't win,
Hmm.
but it was just. I mean, just to be nominated was so exciting. But it was funny because we all had. I mean, the Canadian consulate had thrown this huge party for us, and we all had appointments with various, you know, big whoopie doo people afterwards. And when we didn't win, all
Hmm.
of us had our appointments canceled. It was
Wow.
quite funny.
Yeah, it's a nice little short film. I miss the old log cabin plots in movies. They don't exist anymore.
Right. And it's funny, I had read the short story, the Sinclair Ross short story, Painted Door, when I was 13. And I remember thinking, I want to play that one day. And then to actually get to do it, it was amazing.
Nice. That's awesome. August Schellenberg was in that. He was God. He had an amazing voice that he did voiceover work for. You know.
Yes, 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 yes. He was a gone far too soon. He was a wonderful guy and a wonderful actor. Yeah.
Any memories of the Pippi Longstocking TV movie?
Pippi Longstocking?
Yeah, with Alison Court and Carrie Kai.
Was I in that?
Yes, you played Mrs. Settigren.
I have absolutely no recollection of that. Oh my God. How many years ago was that?
1985.
1985.
Yeah. I've talked to Allison and Carrie about it. They both have grown up to be wonderful ladies, and they had nothing but fond memories of making it.
Wow. Well, I'm sure I had a fond memory somewhere, but it's gone.
It's okay. I love The Gate. That movie scared the shit out of me when I was 5. Anything, st- anything, anything stand out about making it?
Oh, absolutely all of it. Because get it? Because I got turned into a dog.
Yeah.
I've never done that. I've never got turned into an animal before. So that was really fun. And having the kids come out of the hole in the ground, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was really scary. And I've been to a couple of horrorama events because of that.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was really fun. But I've never turned into a dog. And just the logistics of how they had to work that was brilliant to watch how they negotiated all that.
I know, and you looked so gorgeous in that white angel dress. You know, A- and the fact
Oh,
that
thank you.
yeah, and the fact that you get to turn into a dog, it's so sad but funny. But you looked gorgeous in it, and that was like Stephen Dorff's first movie.
Oh wow, wow,
Yeah,
huh?
he was just a kid at the time.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, this movie has influenced a lot of horror filmmakers of today. I talked to a horror filmmaker who's only a few years younger than I am, named Jackson Stewart. A few years ago, he did a movie called Beyond the Gates, and he told me that the gate was a big inspiration behind it.
Wow, wow. That's nice to know.
Yeah, isn't that cool? That
Yeah,
yeah, that one of your movies has been a source of inspiration. That's so cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything stand out about Ray Bradbury Theater?
Uh, oh yes, we were shooting on the grounds of what used to be the mental health hospital
Mm-hmm.
down on down on Lakeshore, and there were a lot of people who were residents of the hospital wandering around while we were shooting this, which was scaring a lot of them
Mm-hmm.
because they were, people with mental issues. So it was quite an adventure shooting that one, and in the home. And if you got off on the wrong floor when you were shooting, it was it was a little it was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Helen Shaver, she's great.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And Kara Malecki Sanchez, he's still working today.
I sorry I missed that name again.
Kara Malecki Sanchez, who plays your son.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. Him and Christopher Crabbe, who played your son in American Christmas Carol, they're both working today.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. That's great. I did not realize you were in Millennium.
Yes. That was the one with Chris Christopherson, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. And I remember I had a big scene. Yeah, that was a fascinating movie to do. And I remember having a big scene where I had to, Chris, we were both on opposite sides of a fence or a fence.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Anyway, he had to come up towards me and I had to come and see him. And I can't remember, it was a big emotional thing. And on his side of the fence, there were all kinds of people around. And we were rehearsing so they could get the camera and stuff like that. And he came up to the fence and I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Can I show you something?" And he's coming across through this crowd to have this big emotional scene with me. And people, women, were stuffing things in his pocket saying, "Meet me tonight," or "This is my hotel," or that. So he was trying to do this big emotional scene and he was getting accosted by people. So I asked him, I said, "Can I ask one of the ADs?" And he said, "No, no, I don't upset people." So I went and told them that he was being, you know, troubled like that. But he was such a lovely guy to work with, and I thought that's really tough, and he's trying to work, and people are trying to take advantage of the fact that he's famous. Yeah, that was stuff. But I loved doing that movie.
Yeah, Chris Christopherson went to the same high school I did.
Oh, did he?
Yes,
Oh, wow.
the famous San Mateo High School. Barry Bostwick, Merv Griffin, Dennis Haysbert, who was in my mom's class, they all went there. Alicia Silverstone, lots of famous people went
Oh my,
there. Yeah.
oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, they had an anniversary for the school in 1977, and Chris Christopherson and Merv Griffin both attended. They were the only celebrities from that school that attended at that time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and also Michael Anderson, who directed Around the World in 80 Days, directed that. That must have been a huge career highlight for you.
It was wonderful to do, but I just I just love the work,
Mm,
and you never know afterwards what's gonna, take off or what's gonna not take off or what anything. So, and I find I never know where I'm gonna learn the most. You can sometimes learn the most from the most surprising little things you do. So yeah, but I certainly enjoyed that. That was great, and the stunts on that were fantastic.
oh yeah, it's a very underrated sci-fi thriller. I think.
Yeah,
I think it had been.
yeah.
I think it had been a book too. Also, I think it was an adaptation. Anything stand out about James Woods on Dirty Pictures?
Oh, he's got an IQ, I think, of 160 or 70 or something.
Yeah,
And he had all these big speeches to do. And Diane Lane was the lead. Is that right? The
I
female lead.
let me look.
And
Let me look it up.
yeah, and she got very sick. So he had some big speeches from the the witness place to do to her, and he insisted that she wanted to stay so he could have a good eyeline, and he said no, no, no. And he would get one of the background people, the extras, he would use her as an eyeline. So he did that, but he would do these huge speeches with without any, like he wouldn't have to stop at all. He just did beautiful, beautiful work.
As Diana Scarwood.
Ah,
Yeah, not that.
okay, that was who it was.
Yeah, not Diane Lane.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, I know David Huband, who was in it. In fact, he's like the prosecutor right when the movie begins.
right.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
He is. He is.
You did Brighton Beach Memoirs on stage.
Yes,
Did you get to meet Neil
yes.
Simon?
No, no. Just do his lovely words that are great.
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's great. I've done Brighton Beach, and I've done a bunch of Neil Simon plays. Yeah, he's wonderful too. Yeah, sometimes when you get the writer who just the words are perfect, it's really good.
Oh, he's a hero of mine. I mean, he started out, writing one-liners for comedians, and then when he started writing his own plays, he like gave all the characters like, Borscht Belt one-liners. you know,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I mean, he is just a brilliant, brilliant playwright. Yeah,
Right.
Eugene is such a perv in that play. And then you also did a couple years ago Driving Miss Daisy.
Oh, those words
Hmm.
are so it won the Pulitzer Prize, and there was one of the performers in the show that early in rehearsal he started sort of adjusting the words a bit, and
Hmm.
you realize, thankfully the director stopped that, because you realize those words are so perfect, and it's a true story. It was based on his grandmother, who was such a, even though she would never admit it, she was such a racist, and then by the end
Yeah.
really learned about, people and care. I love doing that play. I could do that play every year easily. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah. Especially at this point in your career.
Oh yes, yes. Any time. Yeah, the really great ones. That would be great. Yeah.
So what do you got going on these days?
I just finished a short film called There She Is, and in February I'm going out to Cow Patty Theatre in Lacombe, Alberta, to do Perfect Wedding.
Hmm.
So and I've done a bunch of self tapes that I'm waiting to hear whether I got them or not. So that's really good. And in January, I've decided to treat myself. I'm going on a tour to Thailand and Vietnam and Cambodia. So
Oh,
how's that for glamorous?
that is wonderful. Oh my God. Is this the first vacation you've taken since COVID?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh no, I did actually a year and a half. One of my kids wanted to treat me to something, and he took me to Egypt for 11 days. So
Nice.
yeah, there's something about being totally out of living in a world that works in a totally different way than yours, and it works.
Yeah.
There's something about traveling that just, expands your mind a lot. So that's it. And then really looking forward to the play in Alberta. So all is well.
And the health is good and everything?
Oh, extremely. Yeah, yeah, very lucky. I plan to be working when I'm 105, trying to get parts and wondering why there aren't more parts for 105-year-olds. Oh, and I have the repair person coming. So
Linda, you are still gorgeous, and I thank you so much for coming on today. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, a safe trip next year, and that play goes very well for you.
thank you very much. Thank you. Same to you. A pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Be safe. Well, there you have it. Linda Goranson, ain't she a sweetheart? Oh my God, I just loved talking to that woman. She was so sweet and so congenial and so Canadian. That's what I love. And we had some technical issues throughout that interview, which, thanks to the magic of YouTube editing, I got rid of. And her repair person showed up right there at the end, and so she had to go abruptly. But it was fantastic. It was a last Christmas interview that I hoped for, and I'm so glad that we got to talk today. I'm glad that she's going to be taking a trip to Cambodia and all those other countries, after the holiday season, and she's going to do that play because she's out there and she's still kicking, and I believe she will go all the way until what, 106, she said. I think she will because she is fantastic. And yeah, she was shocked that I did all that research on her and that I knew about, her go-go dancing and stuff. Yeah, I think it was called the Snack Show or something that she was on. It was like a 5-minute podcast. Probably it took 20 minutes to record it, but it was narrowed down to 5 minutes, and she told those stories in little segments there. That's how I knew about it. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes. Merry Christmas. See you soon.